really sick, and I couldn't make it to the bathroom even.
The 19th outbreak of a gastrointestinal illness on a cruise ship this year. Todd Arrington, head of Dwight D. Eisenhower's Presidential Library, has resigned in a tug-of-war with the Trump administration over a gift to the King of England. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
Sources tell CBS News Arrington's departure came after he resisted taking an original Eisenhower sword out of the library's collection to give to King Charles III last month during President Trump's unprecedented second state visit to the United Kingdom.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
Catch the Action Line every weekday morning at 8, followed by the Roundtable at 9. Information you trust from leaders you know, here on News Radio WGNS. We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning, a beautiful Thursday morning. This is Bill Krause at WGNS Radio Roundtable, Thursday morning edition. Beautiful day. In fact, our 2 guests, friends, just wonderful people in this community, walked over from Pinnacle Bank because it's a beautiful day to take a walk.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to initially introduce a longtime friend, associate, frequent visitor with us at the Roundtable, Mr. Ronnie Martin, who is Pinnacle Bank, and you're going to have to give your official title, but Ronnie is remembered by so many of us as just one of the most outstanding members of the City Council, the City of Murfreesboro. We miss you on the council.
Thank you, Dr.
I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying that,
Yeah,
but I'm a person who speaks my mind.
Yeah,
Ronnie, your official title now, since you moved out from your previous area, and then introduce the wonderful young lady who's taken your position.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Krause. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to be with you and catch up and spend time with Stacy. I'll introduce her in just a second. But my name is Ronnie Martin, lifelong resident of Rutherford County. I've been here my whole life. Currently work at Pinnacle Bank. And I recently moved into a role with the retirement of our senior lending officer, Ron Carter, at Pinnacle Bank. Ron's title made him responsible for leading our client advisory group, which is generally the group that handles most of the private banking and commercial banking inside of Pinnacle Bank in Rutherford County. And so it was an honor to get to replace him and to have an opportunity to work with, an outstanding group of people that have done amazing things in the community. Pinnacle Bank, the mid-year FDIC reports just came out showing market share for Rutherford County. Pinnacle Bank continues to grow in the county. We've got 28% deposit market share in the county, which is just unbelievable. It's hard to believe. The next closest financial institution is about 10%, so just shows you the gap and the commitment of the people and the work that's been done at that firm. But to that point, have with me.
Well, before you go, how long have you been with Pinnacle?
I came in 2020, so
Okay.
was fortunate enough to take a team from prior institution to Pinnacle Bank, and that team has flourished there well in their own individual rights. I still work with them. Some of us are in a little different position in different categories, but they're all in Murfreesboro, and with the exception of one that pursued some other things, but. Really, really happy to be at Pinnacle. It's just an amazing place,
Yes, it is.
and we'll talk a lot about that. But that was a speech I used to recruit the lady to my right, who's Stacy Wilder, and so Stacy.
And you scored big on that
I
recruitment.
did. Thank you. I like to win, and so I feel like that's a huge win. But Stacy and I, we didn't know it at the time, but we actually had a lot of the same roots back to Rutherford County. I grew up in Smyrna, and she worked in Smyrna. Has been here, I guess, all your life, right?
Just about.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so Stacy was at, again, another institution in town, and had been there long enough that she would be open to considering, some other opportunities. And Pinnacle's dealing with the success of the company in the sense that we've grown rapidly. We've got a lot of people, and we have this term that is used commonly where we're having sort of this gray tsunami, where you have a lot of very experienced people that are rightfully deserving of retirement and ready to do that. And so it's really important to try to the degree we can, bring on new talent, bring on youth, bring on folks that can continue to have the same impact with clients in our market that we've had. And had a chance to meet Stacy. Really, really thought a lot of her. It took some convincing to get her here. We worked really hard at that. It took about 6 months to get her.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
It took a long time. She played hard to get, but she's an exceptional advisor for our firm. She's an exceptional human being. She fits great in on our team. And Stacy, if you want to just
A little bit of your
about
background.
yourself.
We got to hear. I know you most of your life in Rutherford County, but where were you born and where'd you go to school?
Okay. Well, thank you first and foremost for having me here today.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. But yes, I have. I've lived most of my life in Rutherford County. I was born in Nashville. Moved to Smyrna when I was, I think, about 5. So yeah, I claim most all my life. But yeah, so I graduated from Smyrna High School. Went on to get a degree from Trevecca University.
Great. Wonderful school.
Yeah, and love the community. Just love the community. I am married to my husband of, I don't know, we've been together for 32 years this year.
You were a child bride.
Yes,
Wow,
just
wow.
about, almost.
32 years.
Yeah, I met him in high school, but and married for 26 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, so God has blessed me in that area of my life. I'm so lucky to have met him.
Were you
But
interested in school in financial management and
not
banking?
originally.
Oh, what was your interest originally?
Dentistry, believe it or not.
Wow.
Nice.
You heard about the two dentists that decided to merge their practices, and the motto was they wanted to pull together. Sorry about that.
That's good.
Okay.
No, I think I kind of fell into banking. It started out just as a part-time job, while I was in school, and it turned into a career.
So if you're going after a bad loan, you pull their teeth first?
I do look at teeth when I speak to someone.
That's a sign of a loan approval.
Right.
I will tell you, Stacy is uniquely different, I think, in the way that she is extremely detail-oriented, and she is a planner. And so she catches me off guard all the time when we're talking about certain things, and she'll want to sit down and have a discussion about it, to whereas I just wade into the water and figure out what's going on while I'm there. But she is good for me in the sense that she makes sure we're prepared. She's very thoughtful about what she does. And we talk about recruitment all the time and trying to backfill the talent that, and every bank is doing this, trying to backfill who you lose that's been there. But, I say very, very regularly that what is most important to me, and you talked about it a little earlier with your students, finding people that have the right work ethic, that are willing to do the work, that are willing to show up and do more than just show up. That's really important to your success. But the other thing is they want to do well and they want others to do well, right? It's not just a one-person show where they care about their success and not everyone else's. You know, we really have a shared value system inside of Pinnacle where we want each other to be successful, and we can talk more about that. But
Sure.
But she is in perfect alignment with who we want to recruit and the type of talent and people we want to work with.
And you know what's interesting? I've said this to you before, Ronnie, and I'll say this not as a direct commercial for Pinnacle Bank, but in my association relationship with Pinnacle Bank, not only with you folks in Murfreesboro, but in Williamson County. It is a bank that has men and women that are more than just qualified, more than just capable. They truly, truly care about, and I say not the client, I don't call it the client, they care about their friends who are associated with Pinnacle Bank. And in all the years of banking, financial relationships, and so forth, I have never seen universally a group of men and women that go the extra mile who truly, truly care. And, you know, we see that in the public service, and that's a bottom line in public service representation. But in terms of banking, you even walk into a branch and you get the feeling this is not a normal bank. This is, and that's probably why your deposits are such a high percentage.
Thank you.
You come visit your money and you have a nice time.
Yeah. What's important to us, I mean, it's we have values inside of our firm that we talk about regularly, and we think it's important to talk about those things regularly. You know, you execute the way you practice. You deliver results the way you practice, and so, you know, it's really, really important to talk about, you know, how we treat the client, you know, what type of advice we give the client, and differentiating ourselves in the market. But, you know, the other piece is it's important how we treat each other, because you can't treat clients well if you're not happy at work. And so, you know, work environment is so important, and that's a hard thing because all of us look through our own set of lenses for kind of what that means to us, and so that can be challenging at times. But I'm very thankful to work at a place where we're very intentional about creating a good place to work for everybody at the firm.
Well, it's large enough to be phenomenally efficient and responsive, small enough to be personalized and
That's
caring.
the model. Yes, sir. That's the model.
True. Talk about this huge event that has occurred for Pinnacle called a merger, and what the merger means, not only in terms of capital available, but what does the merger mean to today's client and tomorrow's client?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. So, and you'll have to cut me off because I can talk about this for a long time.
We've got time,
but
you've got the dime.
But and Stacy, jump in where you want to contribute, and we're something special to you that you want to touch on. But you know, the Pinnacle is an enormous success story. This firm's only been around for 25 years. To have 28% market share in Rutherford County,
hard to believe.
It's just amazing. And when you look throughout our footprint, which is predominantly the Southeast, you see that type of success, you know, almost exclusively throughout that. We're in a 1 or 2 or 3 market share in every firm, in every market that we're in. And in those markets that we're not, clearly that is the goal. And so what we know about that, it's a very simple model. You find the best bankers that you can find, you pay them fairly, you treat them well, and you bring all their clients to the firm. I mean, that's the game. And so, you know, for us, replacing that talent is really important. Continuing to maintain the right people in the firm is really important. But also, to your question, who's going to lead that effort long term? Because again, we talked about this retirement wave we're having. Well, that applies to our leadership team. And so you have Terry Turner, who's our CEO, Rob McCabe, who's chairman of the board. You know, they are past 70. I'll let them tell you how far past 70 they are, but they're past 70.
It's a good golf score.
It's a great golf score.
Yes.
But you know, when you are a publicly traded firm and you have institutional investors and shareholders and you know, employees that care about something as much as our employees care about Pinnacle, everybody wants to know, hey, what's going to happen when these top people leave? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be the same place to work? Is it going to produce the same outsized results that it has typically produced in the market in comparison to peers? You know, what's going to happen? And so we've been battling that for the last 2 or 3 years in terms of the uncertainty about Pinnacle. And so the merger opportunity created a chance. Kevin Blair is the CEO for Synovus Bank. And so he's been there, I think, off the top of my head, 7 or 8 years. and has really done a remarkable job inside of that institution to retool, to make sure he retained the right talent, attract the right talent. But the big thing is,
they're not strictly an online bank.
No.
They are an on-ground bank.
They
as
are.
well.
They have
Okay.
fixed branch locations, a great retail footprint, commercial banking, all the things that you need. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But the big reason for this was, youth. And so we talked about how important it is to make sure you've got youth inside of your organization for, the congruency long term, to make sure you can backfill the needed positions inside the firm. And so Kevin, I think, is 54 as CEO of Synovus Bank. It creates a long runway for continued success for Pinnacle. When you think through the size of the organizations, you talked about this a little bit. Pinnacle's around a $60 billion institution.
How many states?
Oh, that's good. Seven, eight states.
Basically southeast.
Correct. Yes, sir. And then you look at Synovus, who has a similar geographic footprint, but different density concentrations, right? And so, Nashville is highly dense and dominated by Pinnacle Bank. Rutherford County is highly dense and dominated by Pinnacle Bank, with Synovus having very little footprint. But you look at markets like, Atlanta, Georgia, and somewhere in the Carolinas and in Florida. We have very little presence in Southwest Florida, to where Synovus has a very strong presence there. And so if you were to overlay those retail branch offices and the commercial teams, there's very little overlap where you see, hey, why would two companies come together like this? What you see is a whole lot of sensibility that says Pinnacle is a growth firm. Synovus is a growth firm. They want to even be more of a growth firm. And so what they've done is said, hey, look, here's what we have to offer. We think we have a great team. We know you guys have a great team. We have youth on our side. We have different footprints. And we really like the way you've been able to grow your franchise. Synovus has around 270 client-facing associates, the kind of thing that Stacy and I do. Pinnacle has twice that.
Wow.
And so why does Pinnacle have twice that? How did Pinnacle have twice that? And so Synovus, I think, knows very wisely, hey, there's a lot to offer from modeling what Pinnacle Bank has done. And so, in this merger, all the Synovus offices will become Pinnacle offices. There's some very key ingredients to the Pinnacle model that has made us successful. Synovus wants access to that proprietary growth engine, and so they're going to adopt that. And what we hope it gives Pinnacle is a longer runway to remain Pinnacle Bank, a longer runway to continue to do the things we do for associates and clients that we think work so well, and it gives us the youthful leadership of Kevin Blair and some of those folks at Synovus, so that Stacy and I don't have to go somewhere else and work somewhere else because we're unhappy where we work.
Does this also mean, and again, probably a somewhat a delicate question,
Yeah.
do you see, because of the consolidation, any branches closing?
Why don't you address that? You want to address that? Yeah.
Sure. No, the answer to that is no in
Great.
our area, because there's little overlap, and so we're happy about that.
Right.
That was a big plus for us.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I'm not sure we'll lose any branch office locations. To be totally candid, we probably hadn't figured that out yet. But when you, again, look at a heat map, and if every office represented a dot, you don't see a whole lot of Pinnacle blue sitting on top of Synovus red.
Right.
It's really kind of backfilling and coloring in the lines, which we think will be really good for everybody.
Now, of course, the question comes, just my earlier comments about Pinnacle. Consolidation means growth.
Yes, sir.
Growth means big. Big means systems. Systems
Yeah.
means sometimes impersonal relationships.
Yes, sir.
Will you be able, and I'm sure I know the answer, but I have to ask this, will you be able to still preserve that phenomenal quality of personal relationship and contact with your customer?
Well, I'll answer this, and I would love, given Stacy's background and where she came from, to talk a little bit about what she's seen, differences between her prior firm and Pinnacle. But, our CEO has a great phrase that he uses that addresses what you're talking about. And he says, we are at war with bureaucracy. He says it all the time, and that's
You
coming.
used to say that on the city council?
I know, but I think it's a great saying.
Yes.
And I've done what I could do to adopt as much of what I say that sounds like what he says, because I think he's right about
Sure.
so
Oh,
much of what he
absolutely.
says. I think he's right. And so, this idea of being at war with bureaucracy means, look, there's a minimum threshold that we have to meet when you become a large institution, large financial institution, LFI, which is what we call it, over $100 billion.
Wow.
Will that bring new pain points? Absolutely, it's going to bring new pain points. But the key to this is you got the same team addressing those pain points who has been led by a leader that has said, we are at war with bureaucracy on a regular basis for 25 years. So I bring you here because I think you're the best talent in the marketplace. You figure out how we comply. We're going to comply because that's the law, right? We have to do that. But do it in a way where it does not have a negative impact on our business. Do it in a way where it does not have a negative impact on our clients or associates. That's what differentiates us, and that's why we're number one in the marketplace.
You'd also war with technology, that you talk to a real person when you call Pinnacle versus the fact, press 1 and do this and press 2.
Yeah.
And they get up to press 97.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
3 hours later, well, I finally got 117 I pressed.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think it's a great question. One of the things that drew me to a Pinnacle is the community. It's the community that Pinnacle has created, the type of community that I was longing for, that was missing, in with my previous employer. And I also think that, our clients bank with people versus an institution, right? Like Ronnie said, you hire the best people and have them bring their clients with them. That tells you that clients are banking with that person, that banker, that's showing them that client service that matters, the attention that matters, the respect, that matters,
Sure.
and the trust, quite honestly. So, for me, I think, there's not going to be any change there, with the merger. I don't foresee there being any change because it has been so embedded in us to deliver excellent client service. Our clients expect it, and they deserve it. And that's what we aim to give them.
I have to tell a little story. I do most of my Pinnacle banking at branch closest to where I live in Brentwood. Actually, it's the Franklin address of the branch. And anytime I walk in the branch, I feel like Norm from the old TV show Cheers, because the tellers and Michael, the branch manager, and the staff, good morning, Dr. Krause, and I feel like Norm sitting at the end of the bar.
Yeah.
Such a phenomenal area. Let's go to talk about banking in a very uncertain period of time. Not just interest rates, so the Fed's going to do this, did the Feds do that? 3.7 GPA recently announced. Does that suddenly freeze any reduction of rates? Do we worry about inflation? But just an overview from a financial standpoint, from a bank that does superb research on, quote, projections, data, etc. How do you look at the economy and the financial institution and the finance world in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's obviously been, I would tell you that from my experience post-COVID after 2020, with all of the things that changed in the economy that we were dealing with, it's been a very different, 4 or 5 years than I think traditionally we have seen in the past. And so, you had some artificial inflation of the money supply with a lot of money that was put into the system. There are good arguments and bad arguments for that. It helped a lot of businesses stay afloat, which was a great thing. Probably created some inflationary pressure on prices as a result. You have that piece. You have this idea that is a long proven idea, I think, that the Federal Reserve's trying to keep unemployment low. They're trying to keep interest rates in check where we can do that. Inflation in check, so that it doesn't get out of hand, and you don't lose purchasing power, because typically wage growth doesn't keep up with inflation as we talk through those things. So interest rates has an impact on that. As rates go up, money is more expensive. It's designed to cool the economy off. What you have to be sensitive about is when the economy gets too cool, that creates other pressures, right? Because employers don't need as many employees because they're not as busy, and so it's a balancing act. What I think is, my background, I went to MTSU, had a degree in economics, and then I got an MBA, and so I believe there are a lot more smarter people out there that are answering this question than I am. But I come back to a very simple, common sense approach that consumer confidence drives everything that happens.
Exactly. When I teach economics, I say it should be in the School of Psychology,
I
not the
agree.
School of Business.
I agree. It's how you feel about your opportunities, about your upward mobility in terms of what you're going to earn in your career advancement, your family and your safety and all those sorts of things. That drives purchasing decisions. And so, is it less important or more important than interest rates and the cost of money? Again, all of that's going to be somewhat in the eye of the beholder based on their individual circumstances. But, do I want to go buy something if I'm not sure about the future? The answer is no. I don't want to do that. If I feel great about what's going on, I want this and I want that and I want everything else.
That includes your consumption going to a restaurant.
For sure.
I feel great. I'm going to order that 12-ounce steak.
That's exactly right.
I feel that I'm pinching. It's going to be a 6-ounce hamburger.
Or spaghetti. Spaghetti's cost at the house, right?
Yes.
But, I think consumer confidence is really, really important. I do think what you'll see, at least this is what we're planning for and we're thinking, we think rates will continue to come down. I personally, Ronnie Martin's opinion, I think the Fed has done probably the right thing in the sense of being cautious about what they do.
It's a check against the balance.
It is. That's exactly right. And the truth is, the wisest people I know, they make the best decisions they can make in the moment, and then they evaluate and reassess, and then they make the next decision based on what they know in the moment. To say we need another 100 or 150 basis points in cuts today, I think that's reckless because the truth is we don't know the impact of the next 25 or 50 or 75. And so, but I do think in general, the economy has some underlying weakness in it. Otherwise, the Fed wouldn't be reducing rates.
Sure.
I do think they'll take a thoughtful, pragmatic approach to slowly pulling those down based on what I know today. And I think that'd be good for everybody.
Well, let me throw a totally opposite viewpoint to interest rates. We talk about interest, the cost of money to build a business, expand a business, invest, take risks to operate. I read a statistic the other day that nearly 1/3 of American population is now classified as either senior citizen or advancing rather rapidly to a senior citizen status. And when the interest rates are 4% on a CD versus a CD rate of 0.3%, what does that do to a senior citizen's income? And I'm amazed that AARP, the largest nonprofit advocacy group in the United States with over 40 million people on behalf of seniors, I'm amazed that there hasn't been that much discussion that you cut the interest rates 2%, 3%, you are cutting right into the interest generated for a senior citizen. They've planned on that. That's been their retirement. And consequently, I'm not saying that we maintain high interest rates to advocate for the seniors. Politically, I'm amazed that it hasn't quite hit a point yet, either Republican or Democrat, that said, I got to think about the senior as well as the economy.
Yeah, that's true. And you think about the proportion of the constituency that are voters, it's probably going to be largely in that age range.
Extraordinarily.
I think it's an excellent point, and I think the best answer I have would be, when those things happen, not every investment is the right investment for every person, depending upon risk and age and retirement and all those things. And so, there are some, as some alternatives to bank CDs. You can get some U.S. Treasuries, you can get some fixed annuities. Those may or may not be appropriate depending upon the individual circumstance. But you raise a great point, which is why I think my personal recommendation, and it'd be hard to to diversify, or it could be hard to diversify like this if you're not currently diversified like this. But an asset mix of cash and CDs, as well as treasuries and fixed rate returns, real estate, 401k. I think that has to be as you know, it has to be an overall plan for everyone. Anybody who has a single asset class where their financial resources are dominated has significant risk, and that's what you're talking about.
Sure. Well, it's kind of interesting talking to a unnamed member of my family who has a lot of her money invested in 401k after many years contribution. When the market took a significant lower point earlier this year, she said, "Do you know how much I lost in my portfolio?" I said, "You don't look at it as short term. It's a long-term part." Let's talk about, and this is where my personal experience and my high impression of Stacy has been in the real estate area.
Yeah.
And talking about, is it still a good investment to buy a home? Still a good investment to buy income property? What's the equity position? And I have to say that the Pinnacle model for residential investment loans, even though it's a higher down payment, which I admire, it provides a faster equity accumulation, which is wealth establishment from its own right.
You want to take that? You want me to take it?
Go ahead.
I'll just kick this off and just say, I think it's deserving, and certainly we'll keep all confidences as I say this.
Sure.
But if people have no idea what you're doing in the community to help people in terms of the housing solutions, that you work with people that you know and care about to be a resource to them. And so, you probably don't get credit for that you deserve. But
I will when I make the step to the next world.
That's right. But I'm going to acknowledge it here because
it's my down payment on heaven.
You have spent a lot of time and a lot of energy investing in people to try to overcome, housing solutions. And so I just want to give you credit for that, because I think you deserve it.
We had a gentleman, Mr. Jones, in his 90s, who apparently does this quite significantly throughout Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
He was brought here by Mike Sparks, actually, and we shared the same thing. We don't make money from rent.
Yeah.
We make money from equity, growth, and hopefully continued appreciation of property.
Yeah.
And that allows us to establish a rent basis that's lower than the California corporation that comes in and buys up thousands of units.
That's right.
And is going high price. But I never use the word landlord, and I never use the word tenant.
Right.
I use the word resident from our people, and I use the word I'm a housing provider.
Right.
And it's a great feeling because of all of our people who are in our homes. They're family.
Right.
They're family. And there's one lady who, she and her husband are in one of our homes. She subsequently has become my wife's caregiver.
Right.
And wonderful, beautiful lady. Her husband has become our landscaper.
Okay.
Great professional. So it's been creating a family. So I have between 50 to 100 people that I call my expanded
that's amazing.
home family. And it's, when you wake up in the morning, you say it's a great day, great life. We'll be right back with our wonderful, wonderful guests from Pinnacle Bank, Stacy Wilder and Ronnie Martin, after these words to be able to pay our bills.
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
I've been helping people from Murfreesboro for over 30 years and spent a lot of time there over the years.
We love Murfreesboro. We have lots of friends down there. We've partnered with Middle Tennessee State.
And we found more and more people asking for our services.
We have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
This is Chip Walters, and I'm honored to be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
Dozens of vendors, one local tradition.
Plump, juicy tomatoes.
The Farmers Market, every Tuesday and Friday, 7 a.m. to 1.
Pick fresh this morning.
At Lane Agro Park in Murfreesboro.
Farm fresh eggs.
At 315 John R. Rice Boulevard.
50 years strong. Come see why.
Good Neighbor Events is brought to you by Old National Bank, the law offices of John Day, and AmeriCare Pest Control.
Get old. Old National Bank, that is. Old National Bank has the experience and service you need to buy a home, make investments, even online and mobile banking. Old National Bank is in the borough on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Old National Bank at 2230 Dr. MLK Jr. Boulevard, which used to be Mercury Boulevard.
Visit us and enjoy warm, homemade cookies at Old National Bank.
Old National Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
It's time for WGNS Good Neighbor Events. Want to feel healthier? Take one of the yoga classes at the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department's SportsCom or the Patterson Community Center. Yoga classes are also offered year-round at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. It'll make you feel better and give you better balance. Main Street Murfreesboro's Saturday Marketplace continues on the Murfreesboro Square now through October 25th. That's 8 until noon Saturday on the Murfreesboro Square. Also in Smyrna's Depot District, there's a Saturday Marketplace, same time, 8 until noon Saturday morning, right there at the train depot in Smyrna. And Nourish Food Bank in Murfreesboro is urgently seeking donations of money, food, and volunteers. Let's help keep them alive. That's the Nourish Food Bank. Don't forget, Agatha Christie's mystery, The Mousetrap, opens this weekend at the Arts Center of Cannon County. That's in neighboring Woodbury. And the Red Cross is still critically low on blood. Phone 800-RED-CROSS. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor Events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see mostly sunny skies here this afternoon with a high in the mid-80s. For tonight, mostly clear, low near 58. By Friday, sunny, high of 83. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki from the WGNS Rutherford Weather Center.
Currently, it's 72.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. As a member of MTE, you have access to educational resources to help you tailor energy use to your lifestyle. Interested in electric vehicles? MTE offers incentives to learn about EVs and connect with others who share your interest.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
This is Bill Krause back with the duo from Pinnacle Bank, Mr. Ronnie Martin and Stacy Wilder. Stacy, I'm going to put a question to you. Stacy's looking at me and say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Stacy, you are a great judge of people and dealing with people who are anticipating, planning, dreaming of buying their first home, and they come to Pinnacle. What are some of the things that people should know before they decide to buy a new home? Should they do pre-approval? What's required? How much paperwork do they require? Is there a certain chemistry that you see, and I don't know how to necessarily describe this, but there's got to be a chemistry on the part of a particular applicant for a home loan that may ring out in your interview or your review. It's not just number crunching. How do you see that a person is going to make a great lendee, if you may, for a new mortgage?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of all of the above that you mentioned. You know, I think that a person that does their research with knowing the area of which they want to live, really what their budget is. And sometimes people don't quite understand what their budget is until, they come to the bank and say, well, what can I buy? How much can I purchase? And that may be part of it as well. But I think having a great realtor, that understands what your needs are, long-term and short-term and that sort of thing. But then also when you come into the bank, I think for me as a banker, I would hope that you know a few things about yourself. Maybe what is your credit score? A lot of times just knowing that bit of information will help determine, if now is the right time to actually purchase a home, or whether or not you need to go and maybe do some work to repair some things. But that's all things that your banker can talk with you about as well. But once you do find your banker and you sit down and you have that conversation with them, and maybe you don't know a lot on the front end, that banker, someone like myself would have that conversation with you and just get that understanding of really what you're looking for. How much do you think you can afford? Let's look at some financials and that sort of thing, and review those with you, and just talk through that. Yeah.
Excellent point. I've always said a realtor cannot sell me a house.
Yeah.
The house has to, or even as an investment property, has to sell itself. I have to have a feel for it. If a realtor says, well, look at this wonderful thing. Now, if a realtor points out things that I did not observe. I always love a true story that occurred in Southern California about a young couple buying their first home, and the realtor drove them into the entrance of the subdivision, showed them a lovely neighborhood, showed them the house, and they loved the house, made an offer accepted, got their financing very quickly, and moving day occurred, and they moved in the first day that they had the opportunity after close of escrow. And after unpacking boxes, and they were dead tired, and they went to bed the first night in their brand new home, and they're sound asleep, and they suddenly hear shh, 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 woo, shh, shh. They never looked over the back fence to see they were on a major Amtrak freight line rail. That they had a continued rail. The realtor never showed them that, and so forth, as an environmental consideration. And they got used to being railroaded in their house, and so forth. And they were on the right track, though. Excuse the puns.
Good.
Excuse the puns. But what impresses me in my dealings with Pinnacle, more from the investment standpoint, but from dealing with people who work with buying their first home, for them to come in with their current family budget, what are you spending on your budget? Well, I've got a 2025 Lamborghini. I only make $40,000 a year, but I'm making a $1,200 payment on my Lamborghini. My cell phones, which people do not realize is a major personal cost item of what they're paying. And so work with the budget. I also, with college students, and this is kind of interesting, and we do family budgeting. And I said, initially, if you're faith-based, talks about tithing, take your gross income, tithe below. I also specifically am promoting among students savings tithing. I said, you're making $3,000 a month take-home pay. Don't assume, well, this is what I can plan for rent. Tithe yourself financially 10%. Take $300 off the $3,000. Then budget your housing costs, and then budget your utility, your food, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, you may find your housing rent or your housing payment to be a little less than what you plan, but put that 10% away for year after year. And the young man and young woman today have very little understanding. If you put away $300 a month,
time value money,
what are you going to have?
Yeah.
I used to have that with in teaching out of military bases with career military, and they were in 20, 22 years in the military. I said, you're going to be 40, 42 years old when you retire. What are you going to do? Well, I think I'll get a job and so forth. I said, have you ever thought, and this was back a number of years ago, if you didn't touch your military retirement from the time you're 42, what will you have when you're at the age of 65? And they guessed maybe $100,000. I said, try 7 figures. And this was CD rates were 4 and 5% at that period of time. Just find the multiplier effect. I said, but there's a whole new lesson to financial planning on retirement that people don't realize. Plan to have the most money because of good thinking and planning once you hit age 65.
Yeah.
So your years ahead are not having to crimp and save. Your years ahead to enjoy, love those grandchildren that you may help in tuition,
Right.
you may help in other things, and you specifically have the resources to live your remaining decades. And I say decades because the person that reaches the age of 65 has a darn good chance of making another 20 years or more so.
Right.
So tithe your income in order to create a pot. And they calculated what the military retirement would be at age 65, what their retirement would be from their civilian job, 20 years, what their interest would be on what they've accumulated, and they were fat and sassy.
Hey, it's not just a seven-figure number. It's multiples of seven-figure numbers. And so
Yes.
to your point, you know, I one of the things I value personally in my life because of how I grew up and where I grew up is education. And so the opportunity to get an education, to get a secondary degree, go to college and get an advanced degree. I have opportunities today because of the education that I was afforded and invested in. And so I'm a big advocate for that. And so I say that as a sort of a prefacing comment to, you think about our local school system, the combination collective of traditional school, magnet school, private schools, just Rutherford County, our education system. There are plenty of people that would be critical of it in some way. I'm not one of those people. I would say I feel like I know enough people in the education system to know how much they care about the people they're working with and how hard they try. Like everything else in the world, nothing's perfect and nothing's ever going to be, but you got a lot of really good people trying really hard to grow and nurture and help and teach people. But so as I say those things, one of the things that's always been conspicuously absent, and I know it is prevalent in some cases, but is this financial education piece for young people. And I'm a banker, grew up, had children, girls, have stepsons now, but this idea that as you go from having nothing, right, because everybody at some point in time has no income, you're dependent upon someone else, and then you grow into having your own independence and your own income. Give yourself those raises, but be disciplined in what you're talking about in terms of what you set back. So if you go from $0 to $100 a month, that's a giant raise.
Yes, it is.
To your point, save 10% of that. It's $10. But get in the habit of saving some of everything you do, whether you're 5 or 10 or 20 or 50. Save that, and the power of that is exactly what you talked about. It's not a little bit of money, 50 years from now, which is hard to think about. It's a lot of money that will change your life, long term. And it's just a little bitty small decision, because it's really easy to go from 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 and to stay in that mindset of saving, let's just call it 10%, because you're still getting raises along the way. Just build that lifestyle that you have around factoring in those raises. And people don't do that, and because they don't understand how compound interest works over a long period of time.
It's fantastic. Well, they do when they come in to buy their first house and they're completing their loan application, and they begin to see on your disclosure
the amortization schedule.
$500,000. I thought we're buying a $300,000 home. $500,000. Yes, over 30 years, 20 years, what have you. Well, when you mention education, and I always will say that, believe it or not, that an educator is really a banker in disguise. And what do I mean, a banker in disguise? An educator is providing an opportunity for an investment. What's the return on investment for an education? Networking at a college to suddenly make contacts who may be very, very helpful in terms of future employment. We're going to take a quick recess, if you may, speaking of education, and we'll be right back with our concluding comments.
Are you?
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
Hey, Rutherford County sports fans, from auto, home, renters, business insurance, and more, trust your local State Farm agents. Celeste Middleton, Ron Reeves, Emerson Williams, Alex Williams, Dana Womack, and Andy Womack. This powerful team lives here, works here, and are your neighbors. They're ready to help you manage everyday risk, recover from the unexpected, and realize your dreams. Contact Celeste, Ron, Emerson, Alex, Dana, or Andy for all of your insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
Choosing the right insurance can be overwhelming. That's where Recall at Rayburn Insurance comes in. At Rayburn, we're not just about policies, we're about people. Recall will take the time to understand your needs and find the best coverage at the best price. We've been serving our community since 1973. So why not let Recall take the stress out of insurance? Recall at Rayburn Insurance Agency, where you're more than just a policy number. You're our neighbors.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
America's Thrift Stores is now open at the corner of Middle Tennessee and MLK Jr. Boulevard. Whether you're thrifting for a one-of-a-kind statement piece, name brand jeans, or just browsing for the thrill of the find, America's Thrift offers unbeatable value with prices up to 70% off retail. Don't miss the deals. Don't miss the fun. Come celebrate the grand opening of America's Thrift Stores in Murfreesboro. Visit americasthrift.com/Murfreesboro for all the details.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at murfreesboromovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily. Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
We're back on our final entry point of the WGNS Radio Roundtable. And concluding, Stacy, is so great to have you here. And I have to say something about Stacy because it's a disclosure that I am a client of Pinnacle. Love them immensely. And if I have to turn in a paper or turn in a signature or what have you, Stacy makes the point of coming outside to the parking lot and meeting me out there to grab it. So if people see, what's that man in the red car handing an envelope to a young lady coming out the back door of the 214 West College. Mm-hmm. Stacy, comments about life in the world of banking.
Yeah. Well, life in the world of banking is great, especially now that I'm with Pinnacle.
Oh, absolutely. We won't talk about previous chapters.
No, we will not. After being in banking for, 26 years now, it's been a breath of fresh air really being here with Pinnacle. And again, just feeling the culture, and which are the people, of the firm. It's been great meeting new clients and being able to get to know them on a deeper level and understanding their business. It's been awesome. Truly, and one other thing I will say about Pinnacle is their involvement in the community.
Yes.
Which has been huge for me. That was something that I was longing for as well, is to have join a firm that believed in involvement in the community, getting out, meeting fellow Rutherford Countyans, and in networking in that way. So it's been great. I look forward to meeting even more of our clients, getting to know them, understanding what their needs are, bringing those services and advice and partners, to those calls and to those meetings that I will have with them, and really just having longevity here at this firm.
And you know what's so special? When I teach human resources, the number one lesson is the one person that can influence an employee more than anyone else, whether they like where they're working or they dislike where they're working, is their immediate supervisor, manager, or boss.
No
and
pressure.
you are so fortunate.
No pressure.
And please don't turn red on me, Ronnie, but you are so fortunate to have a man like Ronnie Martin who you are working with. I don't say working for, working with, because it's such a team effort. And, I would probably say what brings that smile to your face, that sparkle to your eyes, is the fact that you are so fortunate. And I think Ronnie Martin, quite frankly, is very reflective of the men and women in the supervisory managerial levels of Pinnacle Bank.
Yeah, I try very much to be. Thanks for that comment. What we know at Pinnacle Bank and what I believe passionately and have always believed this, which is why Pinnacle was such a great fit for me, is the manner in which you treat people you work with is very reflective of who you are as a person. And so we've all had great people we've worked for. We've all had some people that we wish we didn't work with. And so, what we try to do at Pinnacle is to be to live up to this idea that we want to be a great place for people to work. Now, the thing that's important about that is you have to make sure that everybody's in the boat rowing in the same direction on that. And what I mean by that is everybody has to want it to be a great place to work. So you have to not just be willing to receive the great things about being at a great place. You have to be willing to invest in the great things to continue to make it a great place. And so what is, it's like any really good relationship. If one person is really interested in making that good and the other one is passively interested in making it good, it's not going to be as good. But if you have two parties that are both interested or invested and interested in making it really, really good, it's going to be really, really good.
Absolutely.
And so that's the thing. It's continuing to remind ourselves, rather than what can you do for me, what can we do for each other to make sure this is a great place? Lift each other up, encourage each other, support each other. Stacy teaches me things every day just in the same way that I try to help others inside the firm. But to just be a place where people genuinely care about each other. And what shocks somebody, or, what will shock some people about that is, that doesn't always mean avoiding hard conversations, and it doesn't mean not working hard. It doesn't mean just doing the fun things that we do. There's work to be done. We get paid to do a job, and so we have to do that. But what we have control over is making sure that the manner in which we do that job is not doesn't create a negative experience for other people there, that it serves our clients well, that it serves our associates well. And if you can figure that out and get everybody to buy into that system and stay committed to that system, we all win.
Do you know how I compare Pinnacle with other banks?
How?
The size of the lollipop. That's it, the teller. I will tell you, folks, that the lollipops...
I'll make sure your local office knows that.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
That the lollipop being offered by Pinnacle is generally twice the size of the lollipop of your competitor.
Yeah.
And I think there's an analogy of the sweetness of that and the ability to, quote, it's a place that you're comfortable. I always say this to people who work, and that's most everybody. On today, Thursday, which is, I always say Thursday is one of the most fascinating days for employees because it's only a day from Friday. And I can't wait till Friday, can't wait till the weekend. How many people on Saturday and Sunday, I can't wait till Monday to be in my work environment?
Right.
And that is a need. I know Brian, he can't count the days until he's back here on the board.
He really doesn't leave. I mean, he stays there all the
doesn't.
time.
No, he's stationary. I'll call him, instead of the permanent Mike, he's a permanent Brian.
Yeah.
And so forth. So, guys, it's been really, really neat to have you here. Stacy, I sure look forward to continued friendship and association. And Ronnie, You are really one of a kind, and you are an asset and a resource, not only of Rutherford County, but certainly have been with the city of Murfreesboro.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your quality, and thank you for caring.
Thank you, sir.
See you next week, folks.
Subscribe to Big G TV, local content that matters to Rutherford County.